Luke 5:16 says that Jesus often withdrew into the wilderness to pray. I often feel compelled to withdraw into nature like Jesus in order to pray with him and admire his creation. My parents are the ones who gave me both a godly example to follow and a love for the outdoors. By the time I got to high school, I made a friend, Tom. He shared the same mountainous interests as myself, and from then on out, we were inseparable as climbing partners. For that reason, we were itching to get on another mountain and had been laying our eyes on Mount of the Holy Cross. It's a 14er, which is any mountain with a summit that reaches above 14,000 feet in elevation, and we had planned this for months and months, looking at the various routes. We felt well prepared. We decided to head out on November 20th. We had cold weather experience in the past and were intrigued by the mountain's couloir. And to clarify, a couloir is a steep, narrow gully that is on the side of a mountain. And Mount of the Holy Cross has the Holy Cross couloir on its eastern side. It's in the shape of a cross. And so we embarked, and after a long drive to the trailhead, we strapped on our heavy packs and set out for our base camp, getting there with hardly any problems. The next day, we hiked 5 miles or so to this glacial pond just below the couloir. Once there, we looked up and saw the couloir and decided to continue on, also hoping to get higher in elevation so that we had cell coverage. About a third of the way up this 800-foot vertical snow line, we found ourselves trudging through chest-deep snow. We continued on for a ways and decided it'd be easier if we got onto the rock on our northern side. The sun was setting, and the snowstorm that we were looking at and had been forecasted to hit the next day came a day early, and there we were delicately balancing against the mountainside. We had a considerable drop below us, and that's when things became really serious. Tommy and I just looked at each other gravely and knew we could not mess up. There was no room for error. We arrived to the summit around 7:30 p.m. There was cell service up there, so we both called our parents to tell them we were on the summit. We also decided to tell them that if they did not hear from us, they should contact search and rescue. But as we tried to find the plateau that leads to the northern ridge, which was our way down, and we became confused as to where we were because of the blizzard. We could hardly see, it was dark, and so we decided to do the best thing, which was just stop and stay safe. So we found this little rock alcove to kind of hunker down in, and we knew we had 12 hours ahead of us until the sun rose. The blizzard was just raging around us, and we laid there convulsing like this because we were so cold. It was the longest night of my life. I remember thinking that hypothermia is so real and that there's a pretty good chance that I would die. I was scared, but at the same time delighted to meet my Savior, even if it was 60 years earlier than I expected. I was just humbled. I realized how fragile life is. I wondered what the last thing I said to my mom and dad was. I thought about my dog. You just kind of go through the thoughts and the motions. And as the night went on, I came to the thought that there's only one hope, and that's the work that my Lord and Savior Jesus completed 2,000 years ago. I know that it was Him who got me through that night. I awoke the next day to this white, cold environment, thinking that I was in heaven. And then I saw Tommy's hand come through the snow, and he said, "What's up, dude?" And we were alive. God had His just warm enough hand on us. The next day I awoke and we started out again. We walked off what we thought was the east side of the North Ridge our way down. We found ourselves having to rappel a couple times and we came into this valley. It was there that we figured out we had gone south 7 degrees due west on this plateau above and not north. It was the day before Thanksgiving and there we were wandering around the wrong side of a mountain, suddenly realizing we'd have to spend another night there. Just thinking that they didn't know whether or not they'd have to go to the funeral of their son just broke me. And with tears streaming down our faces, we arrived to this meadow where the light of God shined upon us, and we stopped for a moment, enjoyed the warmth. By this time, our families had contacted search and rescue, and helicopters were dispatched to find us. We tried to get the pilot's attention by tying a red hat to the end of our trekking pole. We were jumping up and down. We were just acting straight crazy trying to get their attention. A helicopter flew over us 4 different times, and the pilot never even saw us. It was devastating having our hopes dashed again and again. Tiffany, a search and rescue member, had seen footprints going off in the southern direction on the northern side of the mountain. And because of this, the search and rescue team decided to expand the search grid. A helicopter came over us, and John, a military guy, saw us out of the corner of his eye, and we were rescued during the last 15 minutes allotted for our search that day. It's such a beautiful thing to be rescued, and I could never repay the men and women who did so. I am so grateful that the team found us alive and took us to the hospital. Our toes were black from frostbite, so a specific medicine had to be used to open up the damaged blood vessels and restore life. I'm so thankful that I have a membership with Christian Healthcare Ministries and how God used them to share $28,000 of my medical bills. They are truly an honorable organization, and because of them and the prayers of others and the astounding grace of God, I recovered, Tommy recovered. I am still climbing because it's the gift He gave me, and if I don't climb, I'll go crazy. Going up and down the mountains of life can be tiresome, even when the hardest part is over and we think we can rely on ourselves to carry on. We have to remember that our lives are sustained by the pierced hands of Jesus Christ and His sacrifice for us. I'm thankful that He's the one who brought exactly the right people into place to help us at exactly the right times, including our brothers and sisters at Christian Healthcare Ministries. God's timing is impeccable and His grace is astounding. He truly does love us all. Needless to say, it was definitely a memorable Thanksgiving.